So good morning, evening, and/or afternoon, depending on your time zone. Struggler Bri here with a new Let's Talk Video Games video. And today's video is we're going to be talking about the game of the month, year, decade, possibly for me. Xenoblade Chronicles 3. Just a heads up, this will be a non-spoiler discussion about the game, just things that I overall liked about it, conversations that I think will be held about the game, my overall experience with the game. And ultimately, I'm going to lose the headset because I don't really need the headset on because I am not listening to anything. Okay, so my time with Xenoblade 3. Let's chat about it. Xenoblade 3 was awesome. I'll just leave it off with that. Xenoblade 3 was a... I can't believe they were able to craft the game that they did, and not only craft the game that they did, but also release it like 2 months early. Because that was unprecedented. Like, it was supposed to release in September, and then it went ahead and came out in July 29th, 2022. And I just want to say, Monolith Software, yes, this is a shill. This is pretty much a shill video. After coming fresh off of Xenoblade 2, I was ready for Xenoblade 3. As you can see on this channel, I uploaded an entire playthrough of 2 in anticipation of 3. And 3, man, it absolutely like blew away all of my expectations, hopes, dreams, and desires for the game. There's 3 categories I'm going to talk about here regarding Xenoblade 3. It'll be story, gameplay, and environments, and questing. So let's make it 4, because I don't do scripts. Okay, so the first thing, since this is a non-spoilery take, we'll just do a very brief discussion about the story. Where I want to say the story was fantastic. I will say the best thing I described it as to other people that have completed the game, which I've completed the game, it is the general premise of Xenoblade 3 is the fusion of 2 worlds as a result of the ends of 1 and 2. And instead of it just being a nostalgia trip to the cast members of 1 and 2, it takes the fundamental aspects of 1 and 2, like the very bone, like core concepts of 1 and 2, and turned it into something so much more, as Zanza would say. And it taking the story beats, the conceptual ideas, like, and not just shoehorning characters in there just for the sake of nostalgia purposes. That stuff right there, that is the genius of Xenoblade 3, in my opinion. Well, at least for my playthrough. I'm not going to sit here and say it's the best game ever, but it's a damn good one. The story it's something where towards the tail end, I feel like there's going to be a lot of discussions pertaining it, like the big bad evil guy and some of the antagonists that you run into. But as a result of like some of the questing, which we'll talk about in the questing section, I don't think there's ever been a Xenoblade game that had such a lively world to it, where it felt like there was a time when I was playing the game and I saw a question mark on the map. I went all the way over and I accidentally discovered a new region that wasn't even like in the main story. And then it had its own little hero quest, which led me over to doing this. And before you know it, I spent 4 to 5 hours doing something that wasn't tied to the main story. So that leads me into the next point. Environment. Environment is like, I cannot believe that the world, like, the sheer scale of the Xenoblade 1 or 3 world, I don't say Xenoblade 1 and 2 world, the sheer scale of Xenoblade 3's game world is massive. There were times where I found myself, like, again, I stumbled across questings, which led me to another region that I would have never found if I didn't stumble across that side quest, that hero quest. And for them to be able to create such a world that's, like, so intertwined and interlinks with each other, I was blown away, like, tremendously so. The soundtrack, I'll say, this isn't a comparison video, so I won't dive too much into it, but the soundtrack was good. A lot of the battle themes, the chain attack theme, giving chain attacks its own little theme was a great idea. I don't have too many qualms about the soundtrack. Gameplay, masterpiece. The gameplay itself was something that I was absolutely blown away by, just because of like how introducing a class system to Xenoblade 3 was the best thing that they could have done for the game, because I was finally able to play as any character that I wanted to without having to like deal with the ugly aspects of their classes. I could just change whatever I wanted. And that free flow for like developing your parties and changing approaches, like oh, this boss is targeting medics, so what do we do? Or healers, what do we do? Let's add another healer, let's add another tank for the aggro. That stuff really opened up the gameplay in a way that I wasn't expecting. I feel like fans of 2 might miss a lot of the blade arts and stuff like that, but I do think the changes that they made for 3 are so notable and like huge improvements that I welcome them with open arms. So the gameplay once again was just something I was absolutely astounded by. That leads me to my final point of just the questing / hero questing, where I loved how they wrote the new quests. They were pretty much just blade quests, but much more better. Each of the quests, each of the hero quests that they introduced to the game, they all felt like they were living, breathing parts of that world, and it contributed to the world building rather than just being a side quest where you do something extremely menial. And I think it was fantastic. The only reason that I rushed through Xenoblade 3's main story is because when I do stream, I didn't want to risk the chance of having someone spoil it in chat. Because completing the game without any spoilers is the same reason why I'm not doing any spoilers here. I say Xenoblade 3, if you have a Nintendo Switch, it is a must-own. There are aspects of it that would be confusing if you don't play 1 and 2, but even then, I think you can get away with playing it just like that. And I would love to hear your thoughts and opinions on Xenoblade 3 in the comments below. And if you want to see my New Game Plus run of Xenoblade 3, I'll be working on that very shortly. Feel free to catch me over on Twitch live Monday through Thursday.